Much for having me tonight. Thank you for listening. Thank you for being a part of the community. So tonight, I don't normally go live on Mondays, but today is like a last minute thing because last night I had something amazing come across when I was doing my meditations with star people. And so I really wanted to go ahead and share it with you guys. So I have been bringing the information to you that there is a way to synchronize your heart chakra and the pineal gland. And so, okay, excellent. So that's a lot of people know about that. It's not really a secret. However, they just showed me how to fully do it. And so this was really, it's a big stuff for me because I'm like, oh my God, now I feel it. Now that I felt it. And before, when I used to do it, I would know it was happening. And so you would kind of feel a little bit of energetic shift, but now it was like pulsing in and out of the physical reality. And so it's really, really important that each and every one of you guys learns how to do this. And so automatically you should have all your chakras. You should be placing focus on each one. You should be bringing them all into balance and harmony and peace. And so when you start doing that, then all of a sudden, hey, Melissa, thank you for coming. When everything is balanced in harmony and peace, then you can start working on something like this because your chakra systems, the star people are stepping forward saying they have to be in alignment so that you are able to fully activate your energetic grid structure. And so when you do this, this is what they did to me. And so don't get scared because I'm never scared when they do stuff. I'm always like, let's do it. Right. And so it kind of felt like, and they were like, be prepared. This is what we're doing today. We're going to do a heart chakra clearing. And so I was like, all right, we're going to clear the heart chakra. They've done that a bunch of times. It didn't feel like that. It was totally different. It felt like they were putting their finger on my heart. And it was like, and then I couldn't breathe. And then I was like, oh my God. And they're like, just relax. And I was like, what do you mean relax? I can't breathe. What are you doing to my heart? You're putting your finger on my heart. Like, that's what it felt like. So it was a little bit of panic at first, right? And they were like, just relax, calm down, you're fine. And so, but it got to a point where I was like, oh, there's nothing I can do. If I'm going to die, I'm going to die, right? And so at that point, you have to release the resistance to the physical reality. That's the point they wanted me to get to. The second that happened, it was like my physical body pulled back, but my pineal gland and my heart chakra was activated. And I felt the two energy centers fire up and link. And so I had never felt that until last night. So this morning, because I do meditations all throughout the day. And so each and every one of us, we should be doing the same thing. Even if it's only for 5 minutes, you're still feeling the sensations inside the physical form. And so this morning I woke up and my starman, he was like, can you do it again? Can you activate it again? And so right away, wham, I fired it up. And so releasing the resistance to the physical body, it's like putting your body to sleep, but it's a little bit different. It's accessing the 0 point. So I've been telling you guys for the past couple of weeks, they have told me that there is a primary chakra or a kundalini channel, they're saying, right down the center of the body. One is light and there's darkness surrounding it. So it's actually two in one. And so that channel sits in the dead center of the heart chakra. And so the heart chakra comes out to the front. It also goes out to the back. And so right in the center of the heart chakra is that kundalini channel. And so think of it like it's a cross. When you think about it like it's a cross, you have a tube inside and then the chakra is going out and out. It's a cross. That's what it is. When you go directly in the center of that cross, that's the 0 point. When you start to access the 0 point, that's when you're releasing your physical form. So many people who practice astral projection do this, and they do it by releasing the physical body. And so you're releasing it. You have to be at peace, let it go. And when you let it go, then all of a sudden different energetic centers can fire up and give you different experiences. So if you are trying to astral project, that's one of the primary things, because you have to learn how to, it's safe. My body is safe. I'm going to leave it in my bed. Nothing is going to happen to it. And you have to let go of your body. And then you are allowed to project out of your body. And so is this relative to the dark empath? The dark empath abilities, right? And so a lot of people don't like that word. And I know that they don't like it because they hear the word darkness and they automatically think it's dark. That's not what it is. Each and every one of us light workers, we have walked through our traumas. When you master your own trauma, you can take those trauma emotions and you can take them and help other people. Human beings, we do this naturally, because you'll see if somebody gets really severely traumatized, sometimes that person will pick up a torch and they will make change for all people who have gone through that. And so that's the dark empath ability. It's just worded differently. So when we start to learn, and I've learned every single trauma code, every trauma emotion code I know. And so when I talk to people, I can feel into their energetics specifically. And each and every one of you guys, everyone should be starting to pull apart each other's energetic grids. And so feel into them. Write it down. So let's say, for an example, you guys, you took 2 people. Okay. You can even do it on a Zoom. You could do it on a Facebook Messenger with each other and try and link up, because all the people who are commenting here, find another commenter and see if you guys can link up and do the energetics on each other. And so when you start, this is what I do. I draw red, orange, yellow, green, blue, purple. I draw out the colors, and then I sit there and I pull into each and every one of your chakras. That's when I'm doing the energetic clearings on you. And so whatever information I get, I write it down. And then we sit here, and by doing this process, what you're actually doing is you're increasing your empathy abilities, because now you're putting your zone of focus on doing the energetic work for each other. The more focus you put, the more it's going to unlock your psionic abilities. And so the more and more that you guys start to focus on each other, okay, did I get it right? Then you sit there and you read the notes to the other person. Have you gone through this? Have you gone through that? What traumas have you walked through? When you walk through traumas, you'll know how another person is feeling. You'll sense that they've been through the same stuff as you. And that makes us tighter together, because now we share something that's similar. If 2 people left the planet, say 2 humans left the planet, and we went into the solar system and we went to other planets and we were the only humans there, we would link to each other like this, because we have something in similar. And so this is what trauma has the ability to do to us as well. And so when we know this, you know that your traumas can also bond you together. And so this is just a natural part of being a human. And so it's like you bond together, birds of a feather flock together. And that's because you guys are designed to heal one another from these traumas. You're also being given a perspective. And so that perspective, when you start, the star people are saying, when you start engaging in people who have walked the same experiences as you, it gives you the opportunity to see different perspectives of the same experience, which is important, because this is actually how history is written. History is written by 12. And actually, technically, it's 13, the star people are saying, because if you took a look at the physical reality, and so let's say one person wrote down history, that's their history. That's what they witnessed. That's not what I witnessed. My history could be completely different than theirs. And so we take a look at a car accident. When 4 people witness a car accident, everybody has a different perspective. And so the true way to pull apart the actual holographic simulation, they are saying, is by 12 people's perspective. There's always a 13, though. The 13 one doesn't even have to say anything. They just have to witness it. And so when you know this, that number is very specific to not only the zodiac signs that we see in this reality, but also the source frequency lens that's above the top of your head has 12 pointed stars. 13 is the gateway to go through. That's what they're saying. And so that's really important, because that 12, when you take 12 times 12, it's 144. And so why is that important? Well, where have we heard the number 144 before? There's 144 people who are going to save the planet, blah, 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 blah. Yeah, that's an energetic frequency that each and every one of us are going to activate. That's why we're here on the planet. And so when you start to know that, so what is the 12, right? Those 12 points is actually a Merkaba field. One is electrical, one is magnetic. So it's 6 points, put them together. There you have the 12. The 13 is the gateway to get through. And so when you know this, then now look at the 12 lower emotions. We have a movie called The 12 Monkeys, which is when they dealt with the 12 lower emotions: fear, greed, hunger, lust, all those lower emotions. But you have to heal them. And so you have to take the exact opposite in a love-based frequency. And then all of a sudden, instead of lusting over something, you have full abundance and you're sharing it. And so what does that do? It heals the situation. You're bringing light to the darkness, which is part of the dark empath ability. And then that little point opens up above your head. Now, why is that important? That's important because we need to go through every single one of those emotion codes in order to heal each and every one of those triangles so that we can open up that stargate and go through. Yeah, it's amazing. What does it mean if the root chakra feels like it's sitting more on the left side? How can that be fixed? So that's actually very important because the chakras, they can go in multiple ways and they can slide out. They can go out to the left. They can go out to the right. They could be more prominent in the front. They could be more prominent in the back. And so they could have too much energy or they could have not enough energy. And so there's multiple ways to deal with imbalances in the chakra system. Now, when it's slid out to the left side, your left side is your feminine energetics, which is magnetic in its nature. And so you really want to try getting a crystal and try and have the crystal so it is clockwise rotation and the spiral inside. That's actually going to go and it's going to heal the feminine energetics inside your physical form. So yeah, and the root chakra always is pertaining to how you view your physical reality. So notice any mirrors. A mirrored reflection is something that you would notice in like your car, for an example. Is your engine light on? What is the engine in the physical form in your body? And so is your engine your heart? So are you having issues with your heart? So that's what I do. Whenever we're having water leaks, let's say the window had a water leak. And so your water is the emotion. So did you heal the emotions? What does it mean when the water is here? So whenever you have, like, let's say your sink breaks or something breaks, that's your emotion body. That means that you are holding on to too much emotions and it's causing an imbalance in your energetic grids. When that happens, it changes the manifestation that you see. So of course you're going to notice that your physical items are going to start becoming lower frequency, or they may damage, or they may notify you with some sort of sign or synchronicity to get your attention. So I had a dream about fireworks. So I'm pretty sure that, and then right away, what do? Google the fireworks. What does it mean? Is it a positive meaning? Did anybody get hurt by the fireworks? Or was it something that's a celebration? And so you can always pull meaning from every single thing that you see in this reality, because everything is a mirror of something that you needed to have. Yeah, your garbage disposal just broke. So I would actually have a look at digestive tracts, they're saying, particularly like the colon. Think about the garbage disposal. You're taking your waste and it's like it's going through a tube. It's blending everything. Or even your teeth. It could even be your teeth, they're saying. So, yeah. I keep dreaming of having visions of kittens in my house. Kittens are always a blessing. And actually, kittens usually find the owners. And so you'll notice a lot of times, like, it's kind of like the universe gifts you a cat. And so when the universe gifts you a cat, it's like, here I am. And so a lot of times people just have a cat show up. And that happens more times than not. And so, yeah, it's beautiful. But cats are very, very, when you receive a cat in your life, it's more like you're being emotionally prepared for something big. And so cats actually, especially the black ones are the magic keepers. The black ones will teach you guys more magic than any human being on the planet. And so all you have to do is learn the telepathy. And when you have the telepathy and you start making the communication with the cat, then all of a sudden they'll tell you everything. And they're like directly connected into the Akashic records pertaining to the books of magic. So yeah, all the black cats, they should really be praised. You'll see in time. And there's a reason that the Egyptians used to praise the cats as well. So yeah, we have 5 cats that are all found and a dog. Yeah, that's beautiful. Okay, so what was the other one? So the heart chakra and the pineal gland activation, you can actually feel this. I mean, it's like a shift right away of the energetics in your physical form. And so, but you really have to get to that moment where you are, a leaking faucet too, that counts as an emotional disturbance. You really have to, in order to fully activate the heart and the pineal gland, it's a small space in the heart. So the heart has 2 chakras. You have to realize that your nose and your chin, that's a chakra. That's the length in between each and every chakra. And so you take that and you go right down the entire physical form. And so your heart, it has 2 chakras. There's 2 chakras in the heart. One is the top of the heart. One is like the bottom of the heart. The bottom of the heart is the seat of the soul. That's where the higher self comes in and sits. And so each and every one of us, we have the ability and the potential to open up our heart chakra and to allow the higher self. She comes in on the left. Allow the higher self to fully come in and she will sit about a foot off of the body. She's like a flower, and she'll open up. It could be a boy if you guys are boys. It could be. It actually doesn't have a gender because it's everything. It's energetic in nature. So, but you can pull her down and open her up. Now it's amazing because when you are doing this process of opening the pineal and the heart chakra, then all of a sudden it's like both of those will flower open. That's what the star people are saying. You must release the physical reality. Now that I know how it feels, it's like you have to get into your bed and you have to just put your body and you say, it's okay. I'm at peace. Everything is the way it is and I am protected. And when you start to do that, there's no comparison. You will feel it. And so your physical form, it's like this whole area here above the heart, it kind of feels like it just goes back. And then all of a sudden, the smaller space in the heart feels like it fires up, it activates, and your pineal gland activates. You feel these things. When you do that, you are supposed to be focusing on what it is that you wish to manifest. And so tell the universe, this is what I want. When you become fully activated in all of your energetic grids, these two glands, because they're glands and they're energetics, these are going to activate, and you are going to notice that it's basically like activation of the extrasensory abilities times 10. And so if you wanted to activate anything, this is how you get it done. It's by activating the heart and the pineal. Most of us know this already, but it's the process of feeling that it's activated is of high value. And so many times the star people are saying, when you do this, you are able to also use the breath and to use the cerebral spinal cord fluid. And so when you start to pull up that fluid, once these things are fully activated and open, it will actually give you insights and glimpses into the astral realm. Last night, I was watching a flower opening over the crown of my head, and they said everything was activated. Yeah, that's what I was doing last night. I did it. I was doing it for a couple hours. And so this morning, too, I started doing it again. I knew that if I was having the experience, I was like, I have to make a live today. Because if I had the experience, that means there's at least 2 other people who had the experience. If anyone has had this experience and you felt it last night specifically, send me a message because I want to know what you guys felt too. Yeah, you think you do that, you will feel it. It's 100% fact. You will know it. Yeah, my heart chakra is starting to ache. Yeah, you can feel when your heart chakra is open. You can feel when it's open. And so, but this is very different than just opening the heart chakra because I open my heart chakra all day long. I feel it. I like to pulse it. I like to play with it. And I like to pull. I like to go into the 0 point a lot. This was not that. This was like someone put their finger in my heart and they were like, you should not worry if your heart stops. Right. And so then I was like panicking. And then it was like release. The second you release is the second, wham, these both things fire up. So you have to release your physical form. And so, yeah, it's wild, totally wild. Okay. Declaring our sovereignty is something I want to go over with each and every one of you right now. Anybody watching this, I want you to say, I now declare my sovereignty from any governmental agency, foreign, domestic, and interstellar. And so why is that important? Because there's powers in play in the solar system, and they think that they own this planet. And so they've been fighting for a very long time over this planet. However, the master magicians are being born on this planet right now. And so the second that you declare that, hey, I own the earth because I'm human and I was born here, then all of a sudden, imagine if we all did that together. And so each and every one of us should be saying, I declare that I own the earth because I was born here and I'm human. That's it, period. I own it. So now you guys, remember how the star people have been telling us for months and months and months, oh, if you guys want our help, you have to ask for our help. Right? Well, what if we don't want people messing with Earth, right? So we command you guys to get the hell out of our planet. And so that's what we're doing right now by declaring our sovereignty. Just takes 1 minute. Just, I declare my sovereignty. Thank you, Mother Earth. We are bonded. We're one with Mother Earth, by the way. The connection that we hold with Mother Earth is so significant. And that's strictly because we were born on her. So if anybody has a claim to the planet, it should be the people who were born on it. Yeah. Does it feel like heart palpitations and or fluttering sensations? For me, it felt like someone was sticking their finger in my physical heart. And so it was like a panic at first. And then I couldn't breathe. And then all of a sudden I just released and I was like, my life is in God's hands. The second that I did that releasing was the second that I felt an energy come from my heart and my pineal gland. And it was very, very strong. You could clearly see it was there. You could feel it right away. And so that's why I'm saying, you'll know when you do this because you will feel wham, wham, you'll feel it. And it feels like it's kind of like Imagine that someone hits you with static electricity, right? We know how that feels. It feels very staticky. Our hair may even stand up. This is what that felt like. It wasn't static electricity, but it was like a magnetic energy. And so we feel it. Yeah. Let me see. If we are reconciled, how do we roll? And what measure of humility and love and empathy do we engage with? What does that mean? I think I missed something. We originally created to rule the earth before we fell. Well, ruling the earth, right? It's not actually ruling. It's living in peace and cohesion because she is a conscious sentient being. However, what we're doing is we're saying we are conscious sentient beings who are born and who share an extra connection. It's kind of like, let's say that you had a dog, right? That even if you don't want to be like a slave owner, right? You're owning the dog because that's your dog. Either way, you're responsible for the dog. And so this is our planet. We're responsible for this planet. We all want this planet cleaned up. And so not only do we want it cleaned up, we want her healthy, happy. We want the rainforest to stop burning, right? And so we want to really flourish on the planet. And so the forces that be, if all that negativity is being cast upon us by declaring our sovereignty, then all of a sudden there's some things that they're not allowed to do to us. So I think it's very important. I'm speaking of the masculine and feminine. How should we interact that echo throughout all things? I'm curious. How should we speak of the masculine and feminine? How should we interact that doesn't that? I don't know what that means. I'm sorry. Yeah. Okay. Thank you. Oh, good night, Annie. Let me see. I felt a wave in my heart and then saw three beings, two on the right and two on the left. Yeah. Each and every person who's watching, you guys, you all have guides. So definitely. I mean, this, if you saw how many angels, guides, and star people roll everywhere that I go, it's like there's a whole bunch. And not only that, but the second that you start channeling, you have to realize the second that I go on video, I know that there's a ton of them in the room with me. I can feel them here, but they're also with you because they are here for a learning experience as well. The extraterrestrials who are in a physical body, they come to you guys, they watch you, and they see how that information is going to interact with you, and then they take this as like a learning experience, and then they change or modify the information that flows through me for the next live. So you have to really consider it. Think about it this way. If we were doing this as earthlings, let's say that we evolved to the point where we took our spaceships and we went to another planet, and there was people there who were just starting their technology, right? So let's say we gave them information, and then all of a sudden, what are we going to do? We're going to monitor them. We're going to see what they did with the information. Did they bring more peace, love, and harmony to their planet with the information? And we're not talking about the entire planet. We're talking about the people interacting with the information. And so then they're going to see, okay, how did that information help their lives? Now, not only that, but a lot of times they already know what questions are going on in your mind. And so many times between my sessions and the lives, people always say, you answered my question before I asked it. And so that's because the star people know they can see through time and space. They know exactly what you guys want to hear or what you need to hear. What does it mean when a crystal signs for someone? I was in a crystal shop and saw a smoky quartz, just the happiest go lucky crystal in the world. Yeah, so that's a blessing. So a lot of crystals, some of them are really happy, some are really sad. Some have been programmed with negativity, some have been programmed with positivity. And so this is why we're supposed to get the crystal, and if we can wash it in salt water, that's the first thing that we're supposed to do. If we can't wash a crystal, some crystals like selenite, this white one, you're not supposed to get it wet because it'll melt. Now, I washed a tiny piece and I saw it. It did melt a little bit. So, yeah, it sings. Yeah, so, I mean, the crystal, once again, you can hear telepathically what the crystal wants. And so let's say, for an example, you pick up a crystal. If you get a thought or an image in your mind, and all of a sudden it could be a telepathic communication from the crystal. There has been people on this planet who have taken just a regular crystal out of a bag. So it was a random pick. Nobody looked at the crystal, but they were asked to hold it in their hands, hold it up to their pineal gland, and ask the crystal where it came from. Every single person in the room told South Brazil, and that's where the crystal came from. And so the crystals, they can make telepathic communication with us. That's a solid fact. Now, if we hook the crystal up to a computer and we can pull the information that way, the same exact way that we do with the dolphins. So the dolphins, they put electrical magnetism caps on the dolphin so that they can read the brain waves And so they realized that dolphins can hold the whole communication with us. And not only that, but the dolphins are more intelligent than us. Now, how do you like that? The dolphins are smarter than the humans. And here we were thinking that we were on the top of the food chain. It's just not the case. The food chain is not a pyramid, it's a circle. And so we do have things like parasites that eat us. We do have things in the electrical magnetism grids that feed off of our energy. And so there's many different things. It's a circle. Are you familiar with tektites and the type of aliens that is connected to? There's many different kinds of tektites. And so that just means meteorite. I actually have a piece of moldavite. Moldavite? Yeah, moldavite. And so this one is great. I bought this one a long time ago. It was over 10 years when it was cheaper. But now moldavite's gotten quite popular, so the price is like skyrocketed. But yeah, I actually had, and I want to say this was like a couple months ago, the star people were telling me that I needed to get a sin to deny stone. And so the first thing I did was I Googled. And so what a tektite came up. So I got the, what is it called? Pearl of Fire stone. And so that's a sin to deny stone. And I got that one. And then, of course, the star people like, that's not what we're talking about. And I'm like, what? And they said, it's inside of your heart. And so I'm like, okay. And they said it's like a wishing stone. So you're meant to make wishes. And so that makes sense. It's in my heart. I'm supposed to make wishes. So the first thing I was going to do is clean the entire planet. Right. And so help the people. And they were like, no, that's not what you do. And I was like, okay. And so you have to go through a whole learning process with the star people. They're not just going to give you all the answers. And so what you do is they said, it's my job to encode that stone with as much love as I possibly can. And so, and then that spiraled into more information. And so that it unpacked. And then all of a sudden now I was learning that the monks who they do very high frequency meditations. And then all of a sudden, when the monk passes away and the body is cremated, they find these little stones inside the heart because their actual physical heart, it crystallization is what the star people are saying. And so that's going to happen to our physical form when we go through the evolutionary process. Our heads are going to become a little bit bigger and our body is going to go through a process of crystallization. This is normal. You need that type of body in 5D. And so we are going to go through 4D. 4D is a baby step. So we can see a lot of 4D frequency already starting in our civilization. However, you have to remember 4D is like a half step. It's like a half note, which remember how I was talking about the 12-pointed Merkaba field up there? If you take a look at an octave has 12 and then the 13th is the next octave range. That's how we look at the piano keys, right? There's 12. And so when we start to put all these things together, then we start to realize, okay, well, the emotions, we have to have 12 negative emotions and heal them with 12 positive ones. That's going through the entire octave because each one of those emotions is pertaining to a different chakra subsection, they are saying. And so when you start to heal all of the chakras, each and every one of us have automatically been learning all of the low emotion codes. We've been doing this since the time of our birth. And so you go through all of these little life experiences to kind of train you and unlock all of these emotions. And now we're being guided to heal all of that nonsense that we have walked through. It's trauma. And so when you really start to heal all that stuff and you start to love and light yourself, love and light your life, love and light all the stuff around you and every single experience. Now, I just had an experience where the oil was pouring out of my car. It's all over the streets. It's everywhere. It's all over the place. The guy didn't screw the bolt on correctly. And so now there's oil on all the side streets. But love and light. Right. And so thank you for the experience. My car didn't die. It's still alive. It's wonderful. And so when you seem that way, when you're not looking at things from like a negative polarity, you're just looking at things from a positive polarity or thank you for the experience. It's what it's actually doing is you're training yourself to become a master of your emotions and your thoughts because your thoughts could go a mile a minute. So, oh my God, what's wrong with my car? You could panic. Right? When you start to panic, it triggers an emotional response. And then all of a sudden, what's happening? You're firing up your fight or flight systems. We never want to fire up our flight or fight systems. Well, we want to chill those out, right? And so when we start to go through the process of that, then all of a sudden it's like, okay, anytime I feel like I get fired up, even if it's a little bit, I'm like, and I just take a moment and I just breathe. And I'm like, okay, this is nothing because I've been through worse. And so I'm going to handle this like a professional. I'm going to handle this like someone who's like, why do I have to learn this? What's the experience all about? And how can I handle it to the best of my ability with as much loving, caring, and compassion for not only myself, but all the people who witness whatever experience it is. And then all of a sudden, the second that I rebalance myself and I come into that emotion, it's done. Whatever the problem was, it's already been solved. Well, it took me longer to breathe than it did for that problem to be solved. And so sometimes people can trigger you too as well. And so people, you want to be aware of people who trigger you, because that generally means that there's emotions that are buried from whatever experiences that you've had with them. So in a case when a person triggers you, the star people are even stepping forward and they're saying sometimes a person can trigger you and you will not consciously know or recognize that you have been triggered. So your heart rate may just start to jump. And that automatically means, okay, if they're raising your heart rate, your blood pressure is going a little bit stronger, it's because your fight or flight systems are activated. So the first thing you want to do is regain control of your fight or flight systems, put them to bed, put them to rest, right? You're the one in control of your system. And so after that, then you really have to go into a meditation state and start pulling apart all the memories that you have with that person and seeing where the trauma lies. If you look at a memory and you have an emotion, that emotion is going to be like, maybe disgust or what the hell, or, oh God. That's one that I used to fire. Oh God, right? You have to look at the emotion. You have to look at the memory of that event, right? And so let's say something could be embarrassing. You could have an embarrassing emotion come up. These are all different emotions. And so one at a time, you really want to start diving through all those emotions. And the quickest way to heal them, that the star people have said, is by having compassion for you, but the version of you that walked through that memory. And so instead of beating yourself up over having all those memories that are traumatic, you imagine hugging yourself and being like, it's okay. You're going to make it through this and you're going to be fine, right? You hold compassion for you. And so you have to become your number one healer, and you have to become your number one cheerleader. And so every single morning you wake up, even if you don't feel like it, you high five yourself, right? I'm my number one. I can do it. I'm going to get up. I'm going to try and make today the best day ever. And so that's my motto. Every single morning I wake up, today's the best day ever. I do a whole hand movement. And then all of a sudden, it doesn't matter if it's crappy or not. If it starts to become crappy, I'm doing it again. It's the best day ever. I'm just going to try and keep realigning myself. And you want to know what the most important part is? The most important part is not whether or not you get triggered. You're supposed to get triggered. You're in a physical body. It's a part of being human. What's the most important is your recovery rate. So can you get triggered and can you recover a minute later? Yes, you can, because I can do it. You can do it. Everyone can do it. How quick does it take before you recover? Because that recovery rate, that's what counts. And so the quicker that you can feel the trigger, you can feel those emotions, and then all of a sudden you can stop, you can laugh about it. And you're like, okay, this is going to pass. Everything passes. The happy times pass, the sad times pass. All that stuff passes. So we're in this moment, and handle your triggers like that, right? Peace, love, gratitude. Thank you for the experience. If something feels not okay to you, do not spiritual bypass it. Feel the emotions. You do not have to rush to recover it. If something really traumatic happened, it is okay to sit with it. That is important as well. The triggers I'm talking about are, let's say you stubbed your toe, right? That's tiny. Let's say your oil leaked all over and all your neighbors see the oil leak going right to your car, right? That's a tiny trigger. And so how does it make you feel? It's really important to dive into each and every emotion code that you feel. How does it make you feel? Ask. Does it make you feel crummy? All right. Send your old self compassion, your younger self compassion. I love you. You're wonderful. You're going to get through this. It doesn't matter what people say. If they say negative things to you, it doesn't matter anyway, right? I'm your number one. So I'm high five you, and we're going to keep this moving, and we're going to be rock stars. And so let's go. That's it. Now, just imagine if you've ever had a person like that in your life. Because people who have very positive, supporting, encouraging people around them, they tend to go right up and achieve their dreams. And so that type of optimism is a very high value to each and every one of us. So if you don't have someone like that encouraging you to get up and be the best human that you could be, then you have to be that person to encourage you. And you all should be doing this to yourself anyway, because what happens if they take a vacation? Then you'll be on your own anyway. The universe does that to us because we are meant to be our own divine beings. And so this is the way to do it. Yeah. It's the recovery time. That's exactly what it is. Stay away from expectations. Yes, that's true too. However, if you know that you need your car fixed, that's going to get fixed. You're going to have no choice. So sometimes expectations are good and sometimes they're not so good. Like you shouldn't count your chickens before they hatch. But if you put your mind to something, so let's say your willpower and determination, that's different than an expectation. If I am determined to build a rocket and take my butt into outer space, nothing will stop me from doing that. That's your willpower, and each and every one of us can turn that on. And not only that, but yes, it is possible because you can start pulling resources and people to you. And so look at Elon Musk is a perfect example. So he started pulling people and resources and we're going to do this. We're going to do it together because he knew that he couldn't do it on his own. Right. And so, but that's how it happens. You have to have someone who believes. If you believe, then you can put your mind, you could do anything. And that's not even including the divine manifestation abilities that each and every one of us has. We all can manifest amazing things. I never thought in a million years that I would have seen a UFO, that they would be following me around constantly. I would have never thought I would have aliens in my room. Like, this is a crazy lifetime that I'm living. So if I can manifest all of this, then every single one of you guys can do it too. Yeah. So said a couple years ago. Excellent. Okay, so what's the next one? So the throat chakra, that's really, really important too. So a couple of people have had imbalances in the throat chakra. So blue crystals are number one for healing the throat chakra. In my personal opinion, you should always have, if you're having a significant imbalance and you can get your hands on a big one, this will help to discharge the energetics that you have in there. And so if you can go to even a crystal store and just lay your hands on one of the bigger ones, right? That's going to help. Now, throat chakra imbalances usually happen because, let's say you're not communicating properly or you're allowing other people to communicate or talk over you. That's going to cause a throat chakra imbalance. And so a lot of times we'll see people with thyroid issues, and the thyroid issues are because there was an imbalance in the throat chakra. So all of these things have to be in alignment. Now, throat chakras, when I had an imbalance in my throat chakra from walking through my traumas, then all of a sudden you can also put on a blue crystal necklace. And so keeping it there. Now, you don't want to leave it there permanently. Maybe you leave it there for a week, maybe two, and then take it off and give yourself a little bit of a break. Now, each and every one of us, we could be taking our hands and clapping 3 times. And then you're discharging magnetic and electrical energy. This is your aura field. This is Reiki energy. And so when you take that, you can actually go over the complete throat chakra. You can go over each and every one of your chakra systems. And so that's going to start the process. If the chakra is not balanced, if it's out to the left or right, that chakra system is going to come back into realignment. And so you can do this with your hands. If you have a hard time, let's say you can't lift your elbows or your arms, you can even go into a meditation and you can just visualize doing it, because you have to realize that your hand is part of a holographic simulation. And so we've all probably seen the video where they took a person and they put their arm in one side of a wood thing, so it looked like they were pushing it through a hole, and then they stuck a dummy arm next to the other one. So only one of their hands was through. Now, what they did was they touched it with a feather, and so they felt it on their real hand, and then they touched the dummy arm, but they still felt it on their other hand. And so this is the way the human form works. Your mind doesn't know if it's real or not. This is another reason why the television is such an issue, because if you're watching negativity, you have to realize that there is a biological response happening inside your body that you may not feel. And so when you watch car accidents, murders, people getting shot, all that negative, yucky stuff, then all of a sudden your body is going into fight or flight mode because your body doesn't realize it's watching it on a television set. So you have to be careful what you watch, because when you start seeing stuff and many of you guys are empaths, and then all of a sudden you guys know this, because let's say, for an example, the music that you used to listen to when you were a kid, many of us can't even listen to that stuff. I used to listen to heavy metal. I can't put that on. It makes me feel very not good inside when I listen now. So you have to just be aware, right? Our empathy abilities are being super activated. And so this is the part where we start tuning into each other. Now, the more and more practice that each and every one of us can get on tuning into one another, the stronger that this ability is going to manifest. Is this a type of Reiki bounce? Yes. And Reiki energy, all it is projection of love. That's it. That's all Reiki is. That's all this energy is. And so sometimes someone is like, I know that the chi energetics is electrical in nature. Many of us actually can project chi energetics. And so if you have a look at the martial arts, so some super masters, they can do certain types of breath work, and it can slow time or space, and they are able to touch you and electrically shock you. And so that is one of my gifts as well. I can make lightning, except it comes when it wants to. So but yeah, she's zapping people too. That's another thing I've done on accident before. I went to fall once and I tripped over something and I touched someone. So it was a very fired up emotion, right? Of fear. I was going to hit the floor and then I touched him. And then all of a sudden he said he felt like an electricity run through his whole body and he got scared. He didn't know what the hell was happening. He just felt like he put his finger in a wall outlet, right? So it happens. And so each and every one of us can do this though. You just have to focus on your chi energetics and building it up. And so some of us are more magnetic in nature. And so if you have the magnetic abilities, that's a stronger emotion code. And so your emotions, you have to realize the earth has magnetic grids. A lot of us can tune directly into the earth's magnetic grids. And those people are called grid workers. And so they can send love and light or energy to the grids. You can actually raise the frequency of location codes. There's many, many different abilities, and each and every one of us has a slightly different ability than the next person. So a lot of times it's like a mashup. And so I'll notice some people come with like time space abilities, and then they have the time space, but then it's also mixed with like water, for an example. And so how does that work? Well, let's say the water inside the human form, the water inside your body. And so if they're able to control and manipulate time space, that means that it's like a dial. They can whoop and they can anti-age your entire physical form. That's their ability. And so, but then you also have people who are time space abilities pertaining to matter. And so for an example, let's take a pen. And so let's say that this pen went from person to person to person. It got all run down or old or dirty looking. Some people can take that and they can use their mind and just poof and make it brand new again. So it all depends what attunements you each have. You have to realize the way that these extrasensory abilities activate, it usually goes in pods. And so there's 365, but then there's variations, the star people are saying. So when you have the variations of the abilities, it's like a combination or a mashup. And so each person is going to have their own perception of the ability. And so whatever you're attuned to is what generally the star people say they want you to start with, because those are the strongest gifts that are going to activate. And usually it has something to do with your highest passion or the reason that you're here. Now, some people, they get told their extrasensory attunements and they're like, I don't like any of that. So sometimes that happens too, but then they start on things that they want, and then all of a sudden that comes into play. And then later on in life, the star people always say they're going to come back to the original gift because that's going to have something to do with the highest passion. How do we find out about our hidden attunements? You have to feel it. And so I feel these things by tuning into your energetic grids. And so what do you feel drawn to? Can you sit there and can you practice for 5 hours to try and bend a spoon? If you don't have the patience or focus to do that, what do you feel drawn to? Do you feel drawn to the elementals, to the wind, to the water? What do you feel that's calling you? Most people who go hiking in the woods, a lot of those people actually are working with the fae or the fairies. And so the fairies are at a different time space frequency. So a lot of times you can come into the fairy realm. And so you start interacting with them and they'll teach you a whole lot about time space, because it just so happens that we can control time space. Now we know this because when we're really happy, time flies. When you're really sad, time goes slow. And so now think about it. If you're really, really happy and you're walking through the forest and you ask to be put in the fairy realm, it's just a different time space perception. That's all that is. And so really happy, time's flying, then all of a sudden the forest can actually change or modify your frequency, because each tree works like a vortex energetic. It's circular in nature. That's how your DNA flows as well. And so if the trees are vortexing, that means that the trees can change their frequency and they can act like a key to give the human individual access into a different time space reality, the star people are saying. So yeah, I've always been ready for the portals. Yes, the portals are real. And let me tell you something. They're even, the United States government is even admitting this too, because the Ancient Aliens TV show is on the History Channel. That's government funded. And so they're even admitting that there are portals. They're telling people that the portals are in rocks and that it takes technology. That's not necessarily the case, because you have to remember, each and every biological form, each body, we are a frequency generator. And so each and every one of us, we generate our frequencies by our thoughts and emotions. When we're multi-dimensional beings, so we're ever shifting through parallel realities and different density levels. So your density levels, think about density like you're walking through water. Well, if you looked at a physical item, that's like you're walking through water because it's solid, it's hard, right? We perceive it to be hard, so it's very dense. However, certain items are more dense than others. Now, when you're really happy, it lightens your density. So instead of being at a regular 3D level, you can start vibrating into the 4 and 5D range. And so this also goes hand in hand with the solar activity. Yeah, it's all connected. I am an actual portal vortex. Everybody is. Everybody is. You take a look at your DNA. Everybody's DNA is vortexing around the place. And so inside each and every atom is a black hole. Bam. That black hole, we can actually take our consciousness and project through it, and we can instantaneously teleport anywhere. And so that works with vortexes. Everything is a vortex. You have to remember, life-giving energies is always a vortex. Your pyramids, our pyramids on the planet, they generate vortex energetics. So they realize that when they accidentally knock off the top of a pyramid, because it's happened before during mining, all of a sudden the local areas started having things like hurricanes, bad weather, tornadoes, all sorts of chaos energy was coming up. That's because the pyramids are generating this vortex energetic, which is changing the location code frequency, which is bringing more peace for each and every individual. And so when you know this and they start to damage the pyramids, then all of a sudden it's going to bring more chaos energy into that location. Yeah. Your heart is your portal. Yes, absolutely. Everybody, I feel like everybody kind of knows that too. And so there's more than just portals in the human form. Hold on. Because the portals are in every single cell in the body. And so your heart is basically like the activator, because it takes your thoughts and emotions to activate these cells. And so just imagine it this way, the star people are saying, when you are trying to portal somewhere, you want to portal every single cell in the human body. You don't want to leave your finger behind. You don't want to leave your arm. And so that happens a lot of times, they're saying, with the Stargate technology. Sometimes if there's an incoherent frequency, a person can get molecular leveled. He's saying it's like scrambling the DNA up, or the cells, he's saying. And so because each and every cell in the human form has access into the portal system, that means that every single cell is going to listen to the heart and shift the vibratory frequency, which then in turn will allow for the full being to teleport wherever they wish to go. Yeah. Do they have any information on the mitochondria? What kind of information? My heart is my portal. Love this. And I'm totally needed to be reminded. Yes. Your heart is the most important thing. And then not only that, but it's part of a system. And so we have to realize, and this is another thing, is that when the human body is formed, so the first thing that gets formed is your heart. This is when we are babies, when the cells are all forming. First thing is your heart. And so the thing that comes out of the heart is the tip of the tongue. And so we have a little gland on the roof of our mouth that we need to tell every single person about. Everyone needs to know this, because this is the way the human form actually works. And so there's a little gland in the roof of your mouth. You're supposed to take the tip of your tongue. It must be the tip, because that tip has the same type of cells that's inside your heart. And you have to wiggle that gland back and forth. Now, that gland kind of looks like a seed. And so if you took a piece of paper or a pen and you drew a line like a cross down it, there's 4 quadrants in that seed. And so each one of those quadrants actually have an effect on your brain and the 4 quadrants of the brain. And so when you wiggle that gland back and forth, all of a sudden your brainwave patterning start hitting into alpha. And so that's very, very important, because that's one of the activations of joy and bliss. This is another reason why infants suck the thumb. When you suck your thumb, the tip of your thumb will go right on that spot. And then you wiggle it back and forth. It is on the hard part of your mouth, not the soft, bumpy part. It is right before that. And so just suck it and wiggle it back and forth, and you'll see it will pop out. This is a very sensual organ, and so it should be treated as such. You have to kind of coax the energy. And so you can take your tongue off of it to re-wet your tongue, but you have to go back on right away. You can't, like, the second that you stomp, it stops the alpha. So you really want to continuously do this, and you want to look out the third eye. You do not want to look out your regular eyes. You won't see anything. You have to close your eyes, try and look up at the third eye here. And so when you do this and you're wiggling and you're doing a meditation, you should see green, green yellow, or green blue. Any variation is fine. It could be sacred geometry, like fractal. It could be just the color. It could be a dot. It could be whatever you guys want to see. That's all up to you and your higher self. Doesn't matter. The second that you see that color, you know your higher self is looking at you. Your heart actually becomes activated during this process as well, because when your heart becomes activated, then all of a sudden you're supposed to tell the higher self what it is you wish to manifest. Now, the heart and the higher self, they activate the pineal gland during this process. And then the higher self says, okay, this is how we can put her on this timeline where it's not going to cause any harm for any people. And so if you look at the masculine way of manifestation, that's the way where you took it, you wrote it down, you made a list, and then you put your focus, and attention. That's using your logic. That's masculine energy. And so when we do that, yes, you can willpower something into your reality, but there could be side effects or consequences of that manifestation. So when you use the heart, when you see that green and you tell the higher self, thank you, higher self, this is what I want, you kick back in the meditation. Now you just wait. The higher self is going to give you a visual representation of the timeline of which that manifestation pans out into your physical life. And so when that happens, and all of a sudden just say, thank you, higher self. And then that's it. You're done. Come out of the meditation, and now you know for a fact, because you got confirmation from the higher self. Your higher self told you, yes, you're on the timeline. You're going to see it. Just kick back. You're fine. And then follow the signs and synchronicities, because the signs and synchronicities, even if you don't do anything, the universe is going to keep nudging you until it packs out, it unpacks into your life. And so that's the power of the feminine, or manifestation from the heart chakra. And so each and every one of us should be learning how to do that, specifically because this is exactly what they were just teaching me last night and this morning. They were teaching me how to activate the tiny place in the heart, which is the lower chakra, as well as the pineal gland, and releasing the physical reality. When you do these things and then you start firing in the alpha and the gland in the mouth, that's a wrap. You're actually capable of activating the entire electrical grid structure surrounding your body. Now, when you start doing that, it's like the hologram becomes your plaything, because now you truly can control physical matter. You have to realize matter is connected to us. We are one and the same. And so you have the ability, and you could just go into a meditation state and you can ask it to change the crystal to a different color. The higher self will respond to you. And so you should, each and every one of us, we should be doing this on a regular basis, seeing if we have the capability to change or transfer matter and just make it something else, make it blue, make it yellow, pick a different color, and just see what happens in your physical reality. Now, anybody who's had thought grid attachments, many times you may do things like put your keys on the counter, and then all of a sudden you can't see your keys. A half hour's gone by, you're pissed, you can't find them. And then all of a sudden you see them on the table when you've walked past that table 5 million times. And so that's because the attachments are able to change your brainwave patterning. You have to realize these things are highly intelligent. Your brainwave patterning is just electricity. So if they're able to use technology to block off the electrical impulses so that you can't see it, right? And then all of a sudden, what are you doing? You're firing off all these emotions that they're feeding off of. And so that's the real nature of reality. If they can change your brainwave patterns and it makes you not see something, or you could change someone's brainwave patterns and you can make it so they can see through walls. We have technology that can do this. And so if the technology can do it, your human body can do it as well. Because anything that you see in the external reality is just a mirror reflection of a frequency that's coming from inside of you. So if you're seeing anything, any technology in your life that you see, even if you see it on a movie, that means something inside of your soul is telling you she's ready for that information. And so you're ready for the magical information. I've watched every single magic movie I can get my hands on ever since I was a kid. And then all of a sudden I realized that it's all real, right? And so now all of a sudden I have a reference, because like I was saying earlier to you guys, your body doesn't realize that what you're watching on the TV is fake. It thinks it's all real. And so you're having a biological response regardless on if it's on the TV or not. Your body thinks it's real. And so we have mirror neurons that are in the front cortex of the brain. Those mirror neurons, all of a sudden, they fire up and they give us our language skill. And so if you've ever gone and spent time in another country, for an example, you may come back with a slight accent. That's because your mirror neurons is teaching you or training you how to interact in social settings. That's your copycat genes. That's what that is. And so when you're watching things on TV, let's say, for example, I was watching Gordon Ramsay and how he cooks and how he screams and curses. And then all of a sudden, people around me started saying, "Oh, you're talking like you're British and you're cursing more." And I was like, "Am I really?" And so, yes, that's actually a real thing. That's from your mirror neurons. And so it seems like something silly, but this is actually the way your body works. And so the more entertainment that you're watching, your body is picking up signs, signals, micro expressions from people. Are they telling you the truth? Or are they full of it? Your subconscious mind knows all this information. And so you can start to tune into your physical form. You can start to ask, are they telling me the truth? Are they full of it? Right? And so that's an empath ability that each one of us shares. Now, if you use your mirror neurons, then all of a sudden, the things that you have seen in all the movies will activate. It'll make it easier for you to activate extrasensory abilities because you've seen it on TV. And so just give a good look back. Anytime that you thinking about an extrasensory ability that you want to see, go to YouTube. And so that's it, because you can go to YouTube, you can watch people spinning the tin foil underneath a glass. And then all of a sudden your mind captures the image and your mind doesn't know that this is a hologram. You have to realize your brain is encased in darkness. All your senses is what is telling the brain where you are, but your brain is in darkness. And so when you watch something, that's it. Your brain thinks it's real reality for you. And so watch it a couple times. Now, all of a sudden, your subconscious mind is like, oh, okay, that's real. We see it. And so then sit down and try and do it. It's basically like a cheat sheet for getting the job done. And so even if any of you has ever watched someone bend a spoon, you watch it on TV first, and then sit down and try and get it done. You can do it. There's people on this planet who are also training little kids how to blindfold themselves and how to tell what color is what. And so these little kids can pick up a card. They can tell you it's red, it's green, it's blue, anything. Then they go one level deeper. They take them to the supermarket and they tell them to pick out a bag of potato chips. And then all of a sudden the kids, they can walk down the aisle and they can see everything because they've been trained to use their other senses to activate. And so we know that we can do this as well, because who's ever like tried to walk around their house in the dark with not a single light on? Well, your other senses automatically start to activate and you start to sense the building, the walls, all this information, this new information is coming to you. And so this is also the process of meditation, because they're saying right now, when you meditate, you should feel inside the physical form, but you should also be trying to sense what's outside the physical form. And so what does the air around your body feel like? Do you feel any heat? Do you feel any tingles? What do you feel? Do you feel any entities in your room? And so sometimes you may have a creepy feeling that you're being watched, and there's usually someone in the astral realms watching you when that happens. And so you need to start paying attention to these things. Start exploring your mentality and what are we truly capable of. We're not going to know until we start putting our focus on it. What are some things that you can activate today? Are you guys putting your focus on activating your extrasensory abilities every single day? This is all I do all day long. This is all I think about. How can we activate it? Can we do it? What can we do? How can we prove it? Right? And so you start with baby steps. I got a plant. I started praying and blessing the plant constantly. Now the plant's leaves went from tiny, 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 and now they're like super soldier leaves. It's crazy. It's wild how big they are. And so you start training yourself. Okay, well, this is how I just proved to my subconscious mind that energy projection is real, right? So now take it one step further. So what else can you do? Can you sit there? Can you visualize? Can you really try and activate so that the plant grows in real time? Now, you may not actually witness the plant shoot up 5 feet, right? Because maybe you're not ready for that. Maybe your subconscious mind isn't ready. Maybe you can get a measuring tape and measure it. And then you could sit there for 10 or 20 minutes and you can visualize the plant growing for you. And then you could measure tape the plant again. And even if you see it, it's only moved 1 foot, 1 centimeter, or whatever, you've just proved it to you that you're able to do it. And so the star people are stepping forward saying someone has that ability on this live stream. So each and every one of you guys should be trying or just attempting to change or move matter or manipulate matter or try and bend the wind. You can try and bend a spoon. It's anything that you guys feel drawn to doing, try and do it. We change the weather all the time. And so if you think about the weather, a lot of people will feel the rain before it comes. They'll get aches, they'll get pains, they'll feel kind of run down, or your density gets pulsed when the rain is coming. And so think about what the rain does. When we have salt water, even though the rain isn't salt water, but when we have water, it's cleansing and purifying our emotions. And so if there's too much emotions in the civilization around you in that location, it will call for rain because the rain washes away those emotions and it's like clearing the leveling board. That's it. And so you can feel this. And so the Indians used to do rain dances when they required rain. And so how did the Indians do it? They took their shoes off, they stood on the earth, and then they imagined, they visualized, and they felt, what does it feel like when the rain is coming? What does it feel like to be standing in the rain? And so when you stand there and you feel all of those emotions, they're emotion codes. Everything in this life is an emotion code. And so even your experiential is an emotion code. And so let's say you're a little kid, you went to an ice cream truck. How did that feel? That's an experience. How did that experience make you feel? If you hold on to that emotion code of that experience, you're going to manifest more of that experience. Let's say you grew up. Now, all of a sudden, you don't feel the same way about the ice cream truck. So that emotion code is irrelevant. So pick a different emotion code. What is something that makes you joyful, happy, in bliss, right? What each and every one of us, we all have our own gifts. Everyone is unique. Every single person is unique. And so nobody's gifts are identical. And so what are your gifts? What makes you happy? What makes your heart jump for joy? This is where you are physically and mentally designed to be flourishing. You have to find out what makes you happy and jump for joy. Some of us, we don't know. And sometimes, and that was me. I never knew what I was good at. I knew I was good at everything. I've always been like a jack of all trades. Everything I touch, I get good at. I'm good at automatically, but then I get bored really quick. And so what is a good career or profession for someone who gets bored really quick? And so the second that I realized I was a channel for extraterrestrials, it all made sense because I could walk around and talk about this information for hours and hours. It actually took me well over 9 days to tell my uncle all this information. And that was before I started channeling with the star people actually speaking through me. So now it's even more information. So it's just wild. Hi, it only tells me Facebook user, but thank you for making it. Yeah, thank you guys so much. How can I know my purpose? Oh, see, yeah, that's exactly what they were saying. How can you know your purpose? What makes your heart jump for joy? And so what makes you really happy and in bliss? Because whatever makes your heart jump for joy, that's your purpose. That's the bottom line. It's pure and simple. Some people, they are meant to be bread bakers. And so when they bake a loaf of bread, it is the best bread that you will ever take because they put their heart and joy and love into doing it. And so whatever you are going to put your heart and joy and love and your soul into it, then that's it. That's what you're meant to be doing. And so when somebody does that, it's like a burst of white light comes from their energetic grids. And so you can feel, and the Chinese people, they call that shedding. And so when someone puts their heart into something, it lights them up and you can sense it. You can feel it. And so whatever it is that makes you do that, that's what you need to do. What language do I speak to the star people in? It's so funny because my relationship with the star people is unlike anybody else's relationship. I've never seen another person like this. But I'm friends with the Arcturians. And so there's a bunch of them. And then they're actually part of the Star People organization. And so there's a bunch of different people from different planets who all want to come and help us evolve. My primary Arcturian, so I call him my Starman, we went through this energetic bonding ceremony. And so like, he's always with me 24/7. So we have full-blown conversations. And like, it just sounds crazy, but like I talk to him like he's in the room because he's in the room with me 24/7. He wakes me up in the morning when, and sometimes like I fight him on it. I'm like, oh God, 5 more minutes. And he's like, no, it's time to get up. So it's like, it's one-on-one. It's and like, he does this with my kids too. And so thank God he does it with the kids because it was like, okay, I'm not crazy. He's doing it to you guys too. So, but yeah. In English, yes. But he also, like, we do light language. And so a lot of times the light language happens automatically. So a lot of people, you guys can feel like super high frequency when I talk. And so that's them downloading light language coding through me. And so, yeah, but it's always in English. That's what I understand. And so one time when I was a kid, Yeah, I did speak light language. And so it sounded like clicks and clocks, but I thought it was too crazy. So I don't really do it. How do we know if we are singing, talking light codes or star language? You should feel it. And so this is why a lot of times when people dance, they don't realize, or even singing, he's saying, when people dance and sing, they don't realize that they're usually is very high frequency beings and they are with you during that dance or frequency. And so he's saying, think about it this way. The Indians used to do ceremonies and dance around fires. And then what they were trying to do was hack through the matrix. And they were trying to make communication with the guides and their ancestors and all the spirit guides. And so when they did that, then all of a sudden, what were they doing? They were shifting their perception and they were allowing a form of communication to run through them. And so we do this automatically. We just don't realize that we're in communication. Yeah. What does Abraham Hicks work? I've never studied Abraham Hicks. I don't know. That's how it is for me. They say, as you are aware, we are always here. We are always here. And there's actually a part of us that never left the spiritual realm. And so that is technically your higher self. And so your higher self kind of fractalizes the soul, and that tiny, tiny little piece comes into your single physical body. Now, the process of evolution is like, we're able to pull our consciousness back and then shoot back up and go be blended back with the higher self, and then select or pick or choose what other lifetimes that our higher self has running. Those lifetimes can be in this reality or in a parallel reality. They could be in a completely different universe. They could be on another planet. They could be in a different body form. And so it's just it's endless, it's countless, it's endless. And so your higher self can fractalize into as many body forms as he or she's fit. We definitely are in a simulation, definitely. And so that's how you start to hack through the matrix, is by doing the science. Study the sacred geometry and the quantum physics. And so when you start to unpack all of that scientific information, then all of a sudden it's just, and not only that, but the universe also runs on Adinkra codes. Adinkra codes are like error correcting codes that we use in the computer. And so that's what we see out in the civilization and in the solar system. It runs on Adinkra codes. So if there's error correcting codes, and it's like, it's a mirrored reflection. So what you have on the inside of you, your body also has error correct codes, because if something goes wrong, your body is like, okay, well, there's damage. We're going to send white blood cells. There has to be an error correct code to notify the body, hey, something is wrong. And then they zoom into effect. And so the solar system, everything is the same exact thing. The girl, she said they were harvesting. What? Oh, I don't know anything about that. Even the Arcturians, they are in the same. Yeah, of course they are. But they're just at a different density level. So they're 5D, but they're planetary systems. They've told me that they have multiple levels of consciousness. And so take a look at Earth, because Earth, we can see people in 3D consciousness. We can even see 2D, right? The Crystal Rock Kingdom, all that stuff. So we have a bunch of different levels of consciousness here. And so when you have the Arcturians, he's got 5, 6, 7, and 8. But 8 and 7, he's saying that they kind of phase shift out of the reality, but because that they can see, because in 5D, your sight is open, they're still able to kind of perceive them. And so here we have ghosts and spirits and all sorts of things. So they're at different dimensions, at different density levels. Yeah, this is definitely a simulation. Definitely. 1,000% hands down simulation. And so when you want to talk about bending the spoon, it's not you. It's not the spoon that bends. It's you that bend. And so what does that mean? That means that the frequency inside of you are shifting, which then in turn shifts you into a parallel reality or an alternate timeline in which the spoon was already bent. You're just having the perception of all of that shifting happening instantaneously for you. What about eating herb sage? Can that be effective for cleansing the body of any? Yeah, there's tons and tons and tons of reasons why we would eat any herbs. And so each and every herb, you have to realize each herb has a specific frequency for that herb. And then each one interacts with the body at different levels and different degrees. And so this is part of herbology. And so people realize that when in combination, we could use 2 or 3 herbs, and that could all of a sudden rapidly heal the physical form. That's how medicine was supposed to come about. That's how medicine was back in the day. and then it got hijacked and it got turned into chemicals. We were supposed to be using herbs. And so herbs, you can use the direct plant. You can cook with herbs. You can boil them or make them into essential oils. You can use them on the skin. There's a bunch of different ones that help. Now, specifically, whenever you take any type of liquid, so the herbs, let's say you made the essential oil, you always want to take it. And the longer and longer you can pray and bless it, right? So any food in my house, we pray over it. We bless it every single day. Just a quick thank you, universe, for always providing us safe, healthy, high-frequency food. Amen. And we say usa, usa, usa. We say it 3 times. The word usa is a martial arts term that means it is done. And so when you say that, then all of a sudden you are encoding a light frequency, which we can see scientifically, into the water or into the food. And so a lot of times we eat raw foods, it contains water in it. And so when you start to pray and bless and love and light, when what year was it? When 2020 hit, I had a loaf of bread last me 4 months. And so we were praying over it. We were raising the frequency of it. And it was brand new. It was fresh. There was not an ounce of mold on it. And it was soft. I could not believe it. And I was like, that's the power of prayer. And so that was it. And so now all of a sudden that we know that, we were doing it every single day. So you have to really stay focused and do it every single day. And even if you put a little note up, hey, bless your food before you leave the house, it takes 2 seconds. And so even when we go and we change the weather, and so a lot of times we'll go outside and, maybe the chemtrails and then yada, 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 and it's all foggy outside. And so you open your heart chakra, right? You tune into Mother Earth. Thank you, Mother Earth, for feeding me, for nourishing me, for having me be one of your children, right? So you can make a 2-way bond with Mother Earth, and you establish that energetic cord with her of love and light. And then all of a sudden, you turn your focus to the upper atmosphere. And then all of a sudden, how does it feel to have a bright, sunshiny, warm day? And so how does that feel? I feel the sunshine washing over my physical form. I imagine standing on the beach and my feet are all hot, and it's that heat and that feeling, that emotion code, that gratitude of that beautiful day. It works in the wintertime. You can shut the snow off. Everyone can do this. I've had dreams too that I can change and manipulate the weather, modify the weather, because it's not a manipulation, because you have to ask Mother Earth for permission. And so it's different. It's a different way of thinking about things. You're not stuck with rain, right? And so if they could do a rain dance, they can make it rain. You could do a sunshine prayer. And then all of a sudden the sunshine will come. And I've seen so many people do this, especially after I have sessions with people. They just automatically go and they're like, oh my God, it worked. And all the clouds parted and the ring of blue opened above their head. I'm like, yeah, I knew it would work, because it works for everyone, because we're connected to the earth. And the connection that we share with the earth is ridiculous. Like there is some tribes who just, they let their children go because they know the children are only going to get hurt if they manifest it. And so they just have complete faith that the children won't, and the children never get hurt. And so it's because they are taught how to program their simulation at very young ages. And so that information can work. Anybody else who gets hurt now from this civilization that we're working with now, I would say definitely do the energetic work, because if you're getting hurt, it's because the density is getting pulsed in order to make you clear your emotions. So, there's 2 different ways of looking at it. Those other people, they have been doing it their way since birth. So, of course, their belief systems are different. The way that they manifest is very different. Yeah, thanks. I forgot about blessing food. I do for my stones because they're so beautiful. Great advice. Yeah, I've been spending more time blessing the stones, because now we're doing the crystal package. And so really, I try and do it like every single day, where I sit down, and I'm always in meditation with the star people anyway. So I sit down and I do a full meditation and a healing and a clearing and, DNA activations. And so that's the most important thing, because the more and more, each time you pray and bless a crystal, it's adding that blessing into the crystal. And so the more and more you start praying and blessing, the higher the frequency, the stronger it's going to be. So yeah, it's amazing. And then, people have even reported that they've gotten one of my crystals and then they can feel the energy pulsing off of it, because we throw as much love and light into it. We want everyone to heal. We want everyone to activate their extrasensory abilities, because we want to see world peace, right? And that's something that we can attain in this lifetime. I believe it. I know it to be true. And so it is a holographic simulation, and we just have to want it and activate it and look inside ourselves and activate our true divinity. Yeah. Excellent. Does anybody have any questions? Any questions at all? It's so funny. Whether I write 10 questions or 4, it still takes the same amount of time. So much fun. Yeah, so we're gonna do last questions. So yeah, I do offer sessions, and so my sessions, you guys can register for at daniellelipton.com. What else do we have? Yeah, we do morning meditations. Allie does those, so those are also on daniellelipton.com. You guys can go there. Am I thirsty? I'm always thirsty. How can I connect more with my higher self? Do meditation. And so the meditation is really going to allow you to really link in, but really connecting. You have to realize that you're automatically connected with the higher self, but it's all about opening the heart chakra and just allowing the higher self to take its seat. And so you'll feel it a foot away from the body. And so a foot away from the body, it'll open like a flower. And so it's like the pineal gland. It's the same exact thing, but it's in the energetic grids. And so that higher self will start to fully embody you when you are extremely happy. And so if you are really, really happy constantly, then you can coax. And it is a form of coaxing. It's very sensual. And so it's like, I'm really happy. Come on down. And so she may come down. She may open it a tiny bit. She may close it. But you'll feel it when it's open because it feels like it wriggles out. So yeah, it's definitely one of those things that you'll feel. Somebody asked if the Arcturians are part of the simulation. Also, the Arcturians are alive and live and live a lifetime as we do. Yes, they do have physicality. And so you have to realize the thing about 5D. And so people, any people at all, this is the octopus people, the lion people, every insect could potentially form into a person. And so when we're talking about the solar system, there's one of everything times 10. And so that is how it is. That's how it works. And so the Arcturians are in a physical form, but they use spiritual tools as well as technological tools. That is how many, many different races are in the solar system. And so when they use technological tools, they have things like replicators. The replicator can give them anything that they need can be replicated. However, did they learn to instantaneously manifest it? Right? So what type of means are the beings using? Now, the Arcturians, they can do both. So they can instantaneously manifest stuff. They can use technology as well as they can instantaneously change. And so my Starman, he's got the ability to project himself into other living sentient beings. So like a fly, he does that one all the time with me. And it's like a game of sport. But in order to take your consciousness and project it into another living being, there has to be a bond of love with that entity. So that fly has to feel like you love it and like you are not going to destroy it. And then it will be, it was kind of like me and this morning or last night, actually, like when they pulsed my heart, I had to be at peace with what is in the moment. That's how it is to project your consciousness into another living being. Yeah. What do the Arcturians think about gematria? Is that how God communicates? God communicates through many, many different ways. And so I don't know what gematria is, but as far as God communicating, God is inside of each and every one of us. I've never heard of Spanish fly. I think that that's the stuff that makes that stuff that they sell in the bodega. I don't know if that's the same. It's probably not the same. Okay. Yeah, God communicates through us. And so, for example, you may come about a miracle. So let's say there could be a miracle in front of your eyes. And so that could be the power of God. And you could feel it because when the angels are around, you'll feel when the angels are around. That's it. There's just a very, very high frequency buzz. And if you've developed your empath abilities, you'll be able to feel them right away. And so I could feel when the angels are around and when the lower vibrational entities are around. Both of them. There's two very distinct emotion codes. And so when God communicates, it's always through the people around you. And so you may notice someone wink at you, right? That could be God. And so you never know who's who. And this is another thing because you have to realize the source frequency, it's signs and synchronicity. So a lot of times when you see 333, that's God's number. And so if you took the sacred geometry and you worked all that out, you would come to the same place that 333 is God's number. And so look at your name. Yeah, Mel and 333. That's how God communicates with you, because God communicates with you through numbers, through synchronicities, through signs, through other people, through the hearts of other people who are surrounding you. So you may have fallen down, and then all of a sudden, these people who you don't even know will come to you and help you up. So you don't know how the source frequency works. It works through each and every one of us. There's actually been times when people have even reported the same thing that the Starman can do, where he takes over a fly's consciousness. So God can actually take over any one of our consciousness. God would only do that in positive love and care and kindness. So, and that's not just a belief, that's science, because the universe pushes each and every soul to love and care and kindness. That's the part of evolution. This is why we have what's known as the wheel of karma. It's not actually a wheel of karma, it's just a wheel of density that gets stuck in your energetic grids. And so the universe will constantly pulse you towards love. And so, yeah, when you start to, so gematria is math. And so math is numbers and binary sequences. So it's like science, math, sacred geometry. And so you can have a look at sacred geometry on this planet. You could see it through each and every living and non-living thing. So even if you took a crystal and you started throwing it underneath a microscope, you would start to see sacred geometric patterns or snowflakes. And so when you start to dissect all that information, you start to realize that everything is connected. Everything is connected. Everything is connected. And so when you really start to see that every single thing is connected, and the ether is what connects each and every one of us, atoms and molecules, if we removed the air or the empty space, you could fit the entire holographic simulation into a sugar cube. And so what is what? It's a holographic simulation, and the source frequency is what I call God. This way it doesn't make anyone feel uncomfortable, but when I'm off camera, I talk to God all the time. I think we all should, right? And so even if you don't feel like you get a response, maybe you'll feel more love in your heart. That's it. That's all any of us can hope for. And so, yeah, I saw 333 yesterday, and it was a good day at work. Yeah. And so whenever I feel or see 333, I just feel love in my heart. And I thank the universe for guiding me and supporting me. And not only that, but the more and more that you start to thank the universe for, like, thank you for supporting me, thank you for making it so that everything lands in my favor, those turn into manifestations. And so the more and more that you start to place your focus on the positivity, that's, you get more of that. And so that's how God speaks to you too. And so you may notice people who are very open-hearted, loving, caring, kind, and those people are guided and supported through their entire lifetimes. And so the more and more, the star people are saying, the more you come into alignment with the source frequency, you start to raise your frequency, and it actually snaps you into the source frequency range, which is a very, very high frequency of love and bliss. And so the more you can come into alignment with that, then all of a sudden there's a form of divine protection that washes over your entire physical form. You can think about it scientifically from this way. Just imagine that you're all loving, caring, kind, and you try your absolute hardest to be loving, caring, kind to every single person. Even if someone cuts you off, you're sending light and love to that person. So then all of a sudden, what's going to happen is you're raising your frequency so that negative experiences are not in alignment for manifestation into your physical reality. And so what they're saying is that's a divine alignment. They're showing me it's like a green. So it's similar to the higher self taking the seat inside of your heart chakra and opening. And so that form of divine alignment is something that each and every one of us can hold. And when we start to hold that and hold it and hold it, it raises the biological frequency of your physical material to a point where it allows you access into 5D, the star people are saying. Yes, been doing positive affirmations a lot lately. I have a little deck. So actually, let's just do one of those real quick. I like doing the positive affirmations. What's the buzzing in your ears? My ears are always buzzing. And so it depends on the ear. So if it's in, say, your right ear, that's physically focused. So someone may be talking about you. If it's in the left ear, it's spiritually focused. And so that could potentially be a spirit guide. Also, the star people are stepping forward and they're saying, let's say both of your ears become activated. And so when both of them become activated, one may be a lower tone, one may be a higher tone. And so when that happens, it's going to sound like, ooh, 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 right? But it kind of acts like a binaural beat. Now, they're saying that sometimes that's a stargate. And so that's the key. And so when you hear two separate tones, you know that you are being activated and called to go right into meditation right away. Because sometimes the star people, they want to pull your soul up and they want to have a meeting with you. And so when you hear that and you go into meditation, it's going to activate different brainwave programmings, which then in turn is going to allow you to astral project or remote view the beings that are trying to communicate with you. So if you if you don't feel safe, you can also say before the meditation, thank you, angels and guides, for protecting me throughout this meditation. And so, yeah, it's really important to do the meditation when you hear that, because that means you are being contacted and they want to talk to you, right? And so a lot of us, specifically us, because all of us watching this, we are starseeds, and we've come here with the guidance and assistance of extraterrestrials. We're here to raise the frequency of the planet, and we won. So they can already see through time and space that the planet evolved. So we've won. It doesn't matter what happens from this point on. It's already been evolved. So they can see it. It doesn't matter. All the potentials lead to the evolution of the planet. That's because we're here. And so you know that we have help. You know we have guidance. We are not alone. Even though many times, many of us, we feel totally alone. And so we feel like nobody maybe understands us. And maybe even the black sheep. And so being the black sheep, that's actually a badge of honor. Because you came here, many of us came into low toxic density locations or even families. And so we may have come here into these, but specifically we came because we knew we could transmutate all the density and the karma, which then in turn allowed the entire location or family to raise their frequency. And basically in turn, you heal the entire genetic and electrical lineage for the entire family. And so, of course, you're supposed to feel like a black sheep because you came here to heal the family, right? And so the star people were like, you have to hold that like it's a badge of honor, right? And so don't consider it something to be ashamed of. Oh, I never fit in. No, you should never consider that. Even with the civilization and even with the process of evolution, a lot of people are like, oh, people think I'm crazy because I know all this information. You should hold it like a badge of honor because the universe has selected you to become awakened. And not only have you been selected to become awakened, you have been selected to be extra loving, caring, kind to all, and compassionate, they're saying, to all of those people who are going to be looking for guides and support, because they are going to need guides when they go through their awakening. It was easier for us to awaken because of our natural intuitions. You have to realize we came from the stars. We know there's a part of our psyche that knew that we came here with extraterrestrials. We've known it. How many of you guys were little kids and you were always looking up at the stars? You were always looking up and longing for home. I've been doing that since I was very, very young, right? And so when you start to realize and put all these pieces together, it's like, okay, maybe we were meant to fit in with the civilization. I was always a social outcast when I was really young, right? And so, but now all of a sudden, when you guys are starting to learn your purpose and why you guys are here, then it makes sense. So hold it like a badge of honor. Don't consider yourself an outcast. Consider yourselves a leader. And so, and just realize that we're not alone. Look at all the people who are on the live feed. There's so many of you guys watching, right? And so we're not alone. This is a community. Everyone, and not only that, even on my Facebook, everyone comes together and they all start helping each other and making friends, and right? And so there is going to come a time or a moment in history in which each and every one of us, we start coming together. And when we all come together, that's really when you're going to be firing off the power of three. We're going to be doing meditations, changing the frequency of the entire planet. Like, there's so many wonderful divine gifts that we've come pre-loaded with, the star people are saying. And so that will happen when we have raised the planet's frequency enough to the degree in which the human consciousness grid allows for that manifestation. Yeah, that's what the star people are saying. Okay. We have memory of our consciousness and what that person was before we were born. Yeah, it's inside your energetic grids. And so if you have a look at the Merkaba field, it actually looks like, well, like this. Hold on, Instagram. I'm coming. It looks like that. That's what the Merkaba field looks like. It's a toroidal field. And so this one's a little broken there. We'll try it this way. That's what it looks like. And so, but if you look at the square has exactly 8 points, and those 8 points make up your personality complex. Now, this is where multiple personality syndrome comes from. However, they changed the name. I keep forgetting what the new name is. I'm stuck in the old name. when you start to rotate your Merkaba field, one of those points fits up into the primary head chakra. And so during different sensual activities, this can accidentally become rotated. And so when that point rotates and a new point opens up and comes in that space, whoever you were in that past life, now that consciousness exists inside of your body. And so people with multiple personality syndrome, their Merkaba field rotates. We will eventually figure out an energetic stop so that that does not happen. And so you have to watch too, because some personalities, 4 of them are female, 4 are male. It's just the way it is. It has to be, when you reincarnate into a life, it has to be female, and then male, female, then male. And so it's just for those 8 lives. And then it could be as many as you want. It could be male, 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 male. Then it could be a female. But the 8 lives that are in the actual toroidal field, it had to go in that order. So, yeah. Always appreciate your session. Thank you, thank you. Thank you for watching. You guys are amazing. Thank you for watching me. Yeah. I was floating in space searching. I'm not sure for what. That's always stuck with me. Yeah, that's probably your star family. And so that I've always been looking up at the stars, feeling like there was something there for me. So, okay, today's affirmation. We're going to do this, and then I'm going to click off because it's getting late. Today I am special. Today I will realize that I am unique, one-of-a-kind person. See? And that's what I was just telling you guys. Right? And then there you go. Today, you guys are all special, and you are unique and one of a kind. And we came here to save the planet. Like, bam, that's amazing. So let's just be extra loving, caring, kind. And then I will see you guys in a couple of days. Also, we are ending the special because we took $99 off the session price. So it's only going to be for, what's today? Monday? I guess we're going to stop doing it by like Wednesday or Thursday. So it's like the final chance. I know I keep having people come and they're like, just wait. But yeah, so we are going to be raising the price back up. We were doing a Black Friday sale. So anybody who wants to get a session in, now's the time. You can also pre-order them. And we also did, because we're doing the crystal packet. So I have a lot of crystals. We can mail them out to you guys if you want. So the crystal package is also at daniellelipton.com. And so, yeah, you got a crystal package with Milo Find My Package. What does that mean? It should be coming. If you had one, I mailed them out a very long time ago. But it's on daniellelipton.com. So we actually asked people to send us crystals. And then we took those crystals and we repackaged them and regifted them for people who wanted. And so we also included purchase crystals. So we got a bunch of goodies and stuff and some sage and some fun stuff that we added into the crystal packages. And then I sat down and I did DNA activations, programs, and meditations with all the crystals, reprogram them and bless them. This way they can assist you guys in healing and DNA activations and, really fine-tuning your energetics to allow you to, evolve very rapidly. And that's like the main game. Like we all want to activate the extrasensory abilities. So yeah, it's just amazing. So yeah, it's just beautiful. So that's at daniellelipton.com. My partner, Allie, she does morning meditation. So that's at daniellelipton.com. And then anybody who has any questions, if you go to daniellelipton.com, there's a question box down below. So you guys can send me all of your questions and then I'll do them on the next live video, right? And so no question is irrelevant or too big or too small. Just ask the questions and I'll blend them all in. So it's a lot of information. So you guys have many, many love and blessings, and you guys have a great night. And so thank you very, very much for watching and following. And if you guys can just hit the like, subscribe, and all that stuff, that would be amazing too. Thank you guys. Have a wonderful night and many, many love and blessings.